Genesis chapter 11. Now the entire earth had the same language with the same vocabulary. When they traveled eastward, they found a valley plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to one another, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them until they're hard." So they used bricks for stone and tartar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city with a tower whose top reaches into heaven. So let's make a name for ourselves, or else they will be scattered over the face of the whole land." Then Adonai came down to see the city and the tower that the sons of man had built. Adonai said, "Look, the people are one, and all of them have the same language. So this is what they have begun to do. Now nothing they plan to do will be impossible. Come, let us go down and confuse their language there, so that they will not understand each other's language." So Adonai scattered them from there over the face of the entire land, and they stopped building the city. This is why it is named Babel, because Adonai confused the languages of the entire world there, and from there Adonai scattered them over the face of the entire world. These are the genealogical records of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he fathered Arpachshad, 2 years after the flood. Shem lived 500 years after he fathered Arpachshad, and he fathered sons and daughters. Arpachshad lived 35 years when he fathered Shelah. Arpachshad lived 403 years after he fathered Shelah, and fathered sons and daughters. Shelah lived 30 years, and he fathered Eber. Shelah lived 403 years after he fathered Eber, and fathered sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years, and he fathered Peleg. Eber lived for 30 years after he fathered Peleg, and he fathered sons and daughters. Peleg lived for 30 years, and he fathered Reu. Peleg lived 209 years after he fathered Reu, and he fathered sons and daughters. Reu lived 32 years, and he fathered Serug. Reu lived 207 years after he fathered Serug, and he fathered sons and daughters. Serug lived 30 years after and fathered Nahor. Serug lived 200 years after he fathered Nahor, and he fathered sons and daughters. Nahor lived 29 years, and he fathered Terah. Nahor lived 119 years after he fathered Terah, and he fathered sons and daughters. Terah lived 70 years when he fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. These are Terah's genealogies. Terah fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran fathered Lot. Haran died before Terah his father in the land of his birth in Ur of the Chaldeans. Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, father of Milcah and Iscah. Sarai was barren. She did not have a child. Terah took Abram his son and Lot, Haran's son, his grandson, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and he took them out of Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah's days were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Chapter 12. Then Adonai said to Abram, "Get going out from your land and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. My heart's desire is to make you into a great nation, to bless you, to make your name great so that you may be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, but whoever curses you, I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." So Abram went, just as Adonai had spoken to him. Also Lot went with him. Now Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his nephew, and all their possessions that they had acquired, and the people that they acquired in Haran. And they left to go to the land of Canaan, and they entered the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land as far as place of Shechem, as far as Moreh's big tree. The The Canaanites were in the land then. Then Adonai appeared to Abram and said, I will give this land to your seed. So there he built an altar to Adonai, who had appeared to him. From there he moved to the mountain to the east of Bethel, and erected his tent with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built an altar to Adonai and called on the name of Adonai. So Abram kept on journeying southward. Now there was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to live as an outsider there, because the famine was severe in the land. Just as he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai his wife, Look, please, I know that you are an attractive woman. So when the Egyptians see you, they'll say, This is his wife, and they'll kill me, but you, they'll let live. Please say that you are my sister, so that I'll be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians did see that the woman was very beautiful. Indeed, Pharaoh's officials saw her, and they raved about her to Pharaoh. Then the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house, but Abram was treated well for her sake, and he got sheep, cattle, male donkeys, male and female slaves, female donkeys, and camels. But Adonai struck Pharaoh and his household with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, What's this that you did to me? Why didn't you tell me that she is your wife? Why did you say she is my sister, so that I took her to be my wife? Now here is your wife. Take and go. Then Pharaoh instructed men concerning him, and they expelled him with his wife and everything that belonged to him. Chapter 13. So Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife and everything that belonged to him, and Lot with him to the Negev. Now Abram was very rich in livestock, silver and gold. He proceeded by stages from the Negev as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar that he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of Adonai. Now Lot, who was going with Abram, also had sheep and cattle and tents, so that the land could not support them living together, because their possessions were so many, and they were not able to stay together. So there was a quarrel between the shepherds of Abram's livestock and the shepherds of Lot's livestock. Now the Canaanites and the Perizzites were living in the land then. So Abram said to Lot, Please let there be no strife between me and you, or between my shepherds and yours, since we are relatives. Isn't the whole land before you? Please separate yourself from me. If to the left, then I'll go to the right. If to the right, then I'll go to the left. Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the whole area surrounding the Jordan was well watered in its entirety, before Adonai destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like Adonai's garden, like the land of Egypt, till you come to Zoar. So Lot chose for himself the whole area surrounding the Jordan. Lot journeyed to the east, and they separated from each other. Adonai dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the valleys. And he moved his tent from place to place near Sodom, but the people of Sodom were evil, very great sinners against Adonai. After Lot separated himself from him, Adonai had said to Abram, Lift up your eyes now and look from the place where you are to the north, south, east, and west. For all the land that you are looking at, I will give you and to your seed forever. I will make your seed like the dust of the earth, so that if one could count the dust of the earth, then your seed could also be counted. Get up, walk around the land through its length and width, for I will give it to you. So Abram moved his tent from place to place, and came and dwelt by Mamre's large trees, which are in Hebron, and there built an altar to Adonai. Chapter 14. Now it came about in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, that they made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Birsha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela. This is Zoar. All of these kings joined forces in the valley of Sittim. This is the Salt Sea. For 12 years they had served Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer came with the kings who were with him, and they defeated the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shaveh, Kiriataim, and the Horites in the hill country of Seir as far as El Paran, which is beside the wilderness. Then they came again to En Mishpat. This is Kadesh, and they subdued all the territory of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites who live in Hazazon Tamar. Then king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, king of Admah, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, this is Zoar, went out and lined themselves up for battle with them in the valley of the Sittim against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of the Sittim was full of tar pits, and as the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, they fell into them. Those who remained fled to the hills. So they took all of Sodom and Gomorrah's possessions and their food and left. They also took Lot, Abram's nephew, and all his possessions, and they left as he was living in Sodom. Then a survivor came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was dwelling by the large trees belonging to Mamre the Amorite, the brother of Eshcol and the brother of Aner. They were Abram's allies. Then, when Abram heard that his kinsmen had been taken captive, he rallied his trained men, those born in his household, 318 of them, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. Then he divided his servants against them at night, and he defeated them and pursued them as far as Hova, which is north of Damascus. He brought back all the possessions, and also brought back his kinsman Lot and his possessions, as well as the woman and the other people. Now after he returned from defeating Kedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh. This is the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, and he was a priest of El Elyon. He blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram by El Elyon, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be El Elyon, who gave over your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. Then the king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people, the possessions take for yourself. But Abram said to king of Sodom, I raise my hand in an oath to Adonai, El Elyon, creator of heaven and earth. Not a thread or even a sandal strap of all that is yours will I take, so you will not say, I've made Abram rich. I claim nothing but what the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their share. Chapter 15. After these things, the word of Adonai came to Abram in a vision, saying, Do not fear, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abram said, My Lord Adonai, what will you give me, since I am living without children, and the heir of my household, and Eliezer of Damascus? Then Abram said, Look, you have given me no seed, so a house-born servant is my heir. Then, behold, the word of Adonai came to him, saying, This one will not be your heir, but in fact, one who will come from your own body will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look up now at the sky and count the stars, if you are able to count them. Then he said to him, So shall your seed be. Then he believed in Adonai, and he reckoned it to him as righteousness. Then he said to him, I am Adonai, who brought you out from Ur of the Chaldeans in order to give you this land to inherit it. So he said, My Lord Adonai, how will I know that I will inherit it? Then he said to him, Bring me a 3-year-old young cow, a 3-year-old she-goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young bird. So he brought all these to him and cut them in half and put each piece opposite the other, but he did not cut the birds. Then birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, but Abram drove them away. When the sun was about to set and deep sleep fell on Abram, behold, terror of great darkness was falling upon him. Then he said to Abram, Know for certain that your seed will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and they will be enslaved and oppressed 400 years. But I am going to judge the nation that they will serve. Afterward they will go out with many possessions. But you will come to your fathers in peace. You will be buried at a good old age. Then in the 4th generation they will return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. When the sun set and it became dark, behold, there was a smoking oven and a fiery torch that passed between these pieces. On that day, Adonai cut a covenant with Abram, saying, I will give this land to your seed, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates River, the Kenite and the Kenizzites, the Kadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, and the Rephaites, the Amorites and the Canaanites, the Girgashites and the Jebusites. Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not borne him children, but she had an Egyptian slave girl. Her name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, Look now, Adonai had prevented me from having children. Go, please, to my slave girl. Perhaps I will get a son by her. Abram listened to Sarai's voice. So Sarai, Abram's wife, took her slave girl Hagar the Egyptian after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abram, her husband, to be his wife. Then he went to Hagar, and she became pregnant. When she saw that she was pregnant, in her eyes her mistress was belittled. So Sarai said to Abram, The wrong done to me is because of you. I myself placed my slave girl in your embrace. Now that she saw that she become pregnant, so in her eyes I am belittled. May Adonai judge between you and me. Abram said to Sarai, Look, your slave girl is in your hand. Do to her what is good in your eyes. So Sarai afflicted her, and she fled from her presence. Then the angel of Adonai found her by the spring of water in the wilderness. Next to the spring, on the way to Shur, he said, Hagar, Sarai's slave girl, where have you come from, and where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarai. The angel of Adonai said, Return to your mistress and humble yourself under her hand. Then the angel of Adonai said to her, I will bountifully multiply your seed, and they will be too many to count. Then the angel of Adonai said to her, Behold, you are pregnant and about to bear a son, and you shall name him Ishmael, for Adonai has heard your affliction. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and away from all his brothers will he dwell. So she called Adonai, who was speaking to her, You are the God who sees me. For she said, Would I have gone here indeed, looking for him who looks after me? That is why the well is named the well of the living one who sees me. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. Then Hagar gave birth to a son for Abram, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to Ishmael for Abram.